Hello everyone, ItzzDivinity here, and today with a new Fire Mage guide again. This time I'm going to be going more in depth on the entire specialization, because last time we didn't have that much information on what spec was going to perform the best. But since we're 2 weeks into Mythic now, there's more accurate information that I can use for this video as well. So, just to be short, I will be going over the talents, the stats, the legendaries, the covenant that you want, the soulbinds, which will include the conduits as well, the Weakaura that I use, and the rotation for both Mythic Plus and single target. This might be a longer video, so let's just jump straight into it. First thing first, we'll be going over the talents. So if you just want a quick look, this is what you want to run for single target. If you want to run your talents for Mythic Plus, you have to pick Flame Patch instead of Conflag. But I'll be going over more in depth later on that. But let's just start with the first row. On the first row, you always want to pick Searing Touch in every single situation. Firestarter and Pyromaniac are just so much worse than Searing Touch, because Firestarter only has value above 90%. Pyromaniac is just not worth it compared to Searing Touch, since Searing Touch will give us a execute damage as well. So what it does is basically Scorch will deal 150% increased damage, and it is guaranteed a critical strike when the target is below 30%. So we'll be getting execute damage as well, and below 30%, we'll also be able to be more mobile during a fight. So this is just going to help us out quite a lot. On the second row, you always want to pick Shimmer, because of the fact that you can blink during your cast. So imagine yourself in a situation that there is a mechanic going on, but you're in the middle of a cast, and you want to go away. But if you don't pick Shimmer, you're not able to, so you have to cancel it. But with Shimmer, you're able to just keep casting and blink out of it and still have your DPS. So that's why we pick Shimmer. On the third row, you always want to pick Rune of Power. Incarnator's Flow and Focus Magic are just not good enough compared to Rune of Power. That's also because of the fact that it perfectly lines up with your Combustion, especially with the new changes that are made in Shadowlands. The moment you press Combustion, you get a nice Rune of Power as well. Both Combustion and Rune of Power last for 12 seconds, so it's the perfect combo for that, for your Combustion. So that's why we picked Rune of Power, basically. Then, for the fourth row, you always want to pick Flame On. Alexstrasza's Fury and From the Ashes are not good enough compared to Flame On, because Flame On is going to give you more Fire Blasts during a fight, which will give you more Hot Streaks, which will give you a shorter cooldown on Combustion as well. And both Alexstrasza's Fury and From the Ashes don't do that, so you always just want to go for Flame On in both single target and for AoE. Then for the fifth row, this is really what you like, to be honest. I really like to use Frenetic Speed. I recommend to you as well to use Frenetic Speed during raiding, because it's just helpful, especially after 30%, right? When the boss is below 30% with Searing Touch, it's a really good combo. But this week there's also going to be Spiteful in the Mythic Plus, which are just like little goats that are going to follow you around. So Ice Ward or Ring of Frost might be an option as well to take for Mythic Plus. Now we're going to the sixth row, actually. So in this one you have two options. For single target, you always go for Conflagration, because it's just a passive that will do more damage on single target than Living Bomb. Since Living Bomb is just, you waste another GCD on it, and it's just not strong enough compared to Conflag. But for Mythic Plus, you always want to use Flame Patch. Flame Patch actually deals around 10% of your total damage during an entire Mythic Plus run, when Conflag is like dealing around 1 to 2%. So for Mythic Plus, you really want to use Flame Patch over Conflagration. But for raiding, you just want to use Conflag, and that's it. On the final row, you only have one option to go for, since Combustion is our main source of damage, and with everything that we're building into it, we're trying to get a Combustion cooldown of only a minute long. So with Kindling, you're gonna basically always try and get a minute cooldown on your Combustion. So Kindling is just the best one compared to anyone, because Meteor, it might be decent for Mythic Plus, but then you're gonna miss a lot of uptime on your Combustion compared to if you had Kindling. And same thing goes for Pyroclasm. It has a 50% chance to not consume your Hot Streak, but you have to cast again in Pyroblast, and the Pyroblast takes how long to cast? 3.7 seconds. So it's really tricky to pull it off. So Kindling is just the best one, and that's it. So that were the talents. So let's head into the next section. So we're going quickly over the stats now. Before I mention anything about stats, I always recommend to just sim yourself in order to see which stat you need the most. Right now, since the new expansion and the changes that they did make to secondary stats, most of the time intellect is just going to be your best stat by far. Right now, as you can see on the screen as well, I almost get 3 DPS upgrade if I get 1 intellect compared to haste, which is just 1.2 or something like that. So that's first that I wanted to say. And for everyone else, it's also different, right? So just sim yourself. I also made a video about it. I will be linking it down in the comment section below if you don't know how to sim yourself. So you can use that video to see how it actually works. But if you just want to see quickly, okay, what stats are the best? Well, just as I said, intellect is your best stat. You always kind of want to go for intellect. After that, it's haste. Then after that, you have versatility and mastery, which are equal. So you kind of just want pieces with loot that has both haste or versatility mastery on it, right? So you have haste and versatility or mastery. And then the last one is crit. But yeah, like I just said at the beginning as well, just sim yourself. Be sure on what you need, right? Like I myself, yeah, it keeps shifting around left and right the moment I swapped a different item in. So, but yeah, that was for the stats. So let's go next again. So then we're going to talk about the legendary powers. So for raiding, you want to use Fevered Incantation in my opinion, but also for Mythic Plus. Since simming actually says that Disciplinary Command is better for Mythic Plus, but it's really annoying to proc, since you have to cast a Frost, Fire, and Arcane spell within 10 seconds of each other to increase your critical strike damage of all your spells by 50%. This effect actually lasts for 20 seconds, so it has a good duration, but it has a 30-second cooldown on it again, right? With Fevered Incantation, each time you have a critical strike, you deal increased critical strike damage by 3%, and this stacks up to 15%. So if you crit 5 times in a row, you're able to have a 50% damage increase on your crits. So you can already imagine during combustion, it's really easy to get this, right? Like you're only critting, so how are you not going to get this up, right? But also, the moment the boss falls below 30%, your Scorches are also always going to deal critical strikes. So then your Scorches are also going to benefit from this. Same with your Fire Blast, they always crit. So after 30%, when the boss is below 30%, I mean, this legendary gains a lot of value compared to Disciplinary Command, because Fevered Incantation is just going to have a way higher uptime than Disciplinary Command. And it's not a hassle to proc, right? Like, let's come on, man. You have to cast a Frost, Fire, and Arcane spell within 10 seconds of each other to increase your critical strike damage of all your spells by 50%. But there's another legendary that basically deals the same, but just slightly different by that you have to crit constantly. Another big factor as well is Fevered Incantation can be crafted on a helmet. And the helmet, chest piece, or legs are one of those pieces that has really high stats compared to any items. So having a helmet, really high item level, because you're going to be able to get it to 235 in the end, it's just going to be a way better boost in your stats than crafting Disciplinary Command on the wrist or finger, right? Since the wrists are really low on stats, and there are enough fingers in the game right now that are going to have really good stats. Like, think about Side the Natchez, it's going to drop a really good one, and there's another dungeon that drops a really good finger as well that we want to use. So, just to keep it simple and short, you want to craft Fevered Incantation for both Raiding and Mythic Plus, even though Disciplinary Command sims better. And the moment you do craft Fevered Incantation, you want to craft it on your helmet slot, because it has the most stats that you can gain from a legendary. Alright, that was it for the legendaries. Then we're going to talk about the covenants that you want to use for your Fire Mage. So, a Fire Mage, you really want to be a Night Fae. That's because of the fact shifting power is just so amazing and so good for fire. Basically, what it does, right, is it draws power from the ground beneath, dealing X amount of nature damage over 3.3 seconds to enemies within 18 yards. But the very important part is, while channeling, your Mage's ability cooldowns are reduced by 10 seconds over 3.3 seconds. So this goes for all your cooldowns, basically. This goes for your Combustion, this goes for Phoenix Flames, this goes for Fire Blast, this goes for Rune of Power, this goes for Mirror Images, this goes for Art of Time. Basically every single cooldown that you have. And because of that, the Night Fae ability is just so much better than any other. Even though the Venti one is kinda similar for Fire Mage, since what the Venti one does, it like creates a mirror, right, on the target, and it deals damage. And every time it attacks or casts a spell, you will get 4 seconds back on the Fire Blast. But this can only happen 3 times, so that's 12 seconds. And it has a 1.5 minute cooldown, while the Shifting Power ones for Night Fae has a 1 minute cooldown. And because of that, you really just want to be a Night Fae Fire Mage. This ability doesn't even need to hit anything to gain value out of it, right? The issue is, though, if you go Night Fae Fire, you're not going to be able to play Frost. Because if you want to play Frost and you want to be viable, you have to be Vantir in order to just do some damage. But as a Fire Mage, you just want to go Night Fae. The ability itself is so amazing, it's so good, it just helps everything that Fire needs. And with this, you're also going to have more combustions during a fight than what you will have during the fight if you're a Vantir, or Kyrian, or Necrolord. So, just pick Night Fae. Night Fae is the best one. Alright, since we know our Abyss Covenant now, we're going to talk about Soulbinds and the conducts that we want to use. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about the Soulbinds. So as of today, we unlocked Renown rank 13. So we're able to use the second potency conduit for the Dreamweaver Soulbind. Since both Nia and Corian are not having a second potency conduit, right now Dreamweaver is just the best option to pick. This might change later into the future because of the fact that you need to be, let's see actually, Renown level 30 in order to get Nia's Tools Burst, which is like in 3 months' time. Then it might be better, but I'll be making an update video the moment we are actually Renown 30 and we're able to check out which one is actually going to be the best one. Because if we're picking Tools Burst, we're not able to use the second potency slot. So, for now, we're going to pick the Dreamweaver. That's because of the fact we are having 2 potency slots already unlocked. So, but which Soulbinds do you want to use? Well, you always want to use Infernal Cascade. This conduit is so broken compared to any other conduit that we can use, since it basically lets us deal 25% more increased fire damage 5 seconds during our combustion than if we didn't use it. As you can see in this sim over here as well, the Infernal Cascade is just the best one by far, so you want to pick it no matter what. But sure, then we know our first conduit, right? But what about the second one? Well, the second one, you actually want to use for single target. You want to use the Discipline of the Grove. What this does is basically Shifting Powers, our Covenant ability, right? Reduces your Mage ability cooldowns by an additional 5 seconds, yeah? Another 5 seconds, so that's 15 seconds. And this one is going to be better the moment it gets higher item level. So you kind of want to see if you're able to, yeah, level up your potency conduit for this one as well. So, for single target, you both want to use the Infernal Cascade and the Discipline of the Grove. But for Mythic Plus, something changes. That's interesting. We're still going to use Infernal Cascade. But for the second one, we are going to use Master Flame. Because what this does is Flame Strike's damage is increased by 11.2% and its radius is increased by 10%. And since in Mythic Plus, our Flame Strike is going to be a really big main source of our damage on AoE packs. And having a potency conduit which buffs that damage is really going to help you out doing even more damage. So to quickly summarize it, for single target, you want to use Infernal Cascade and Discipline of the Grove. And for Mythic Plus, you want to use also Infernal Cascade, but then also Master of Flame. So that's it about the Soulbinds and the conduits that we want to use as a Fire Mage. Alright, then I'm quickly going to show you which Weakaura I'm using in order to keep track of all of these cooldowns in the middle. I'm using the Weakaura called Mage Core from Luxtos. This Weakaura is actually so amazing and it helped me so much to improve on everything, like raiding, Mythic Plus, PvP even as well, even though I'm garbage at PvP. But besides that, this Weakaura keeps track of your combustion cooldowns, it keeps track of your Fire Blast charges, as you can see in the middle. Like this, the Fire Blast, it keeps track of your Phoenix Flames to see how many you still have, Break Night damage, your Rune of Power as well, your Shifting Power, as you can see. Like, it keeps track of everything. And if you want this one, I'm gonna leave a link down in the description as well. So it's not mine, as I said before. I didn't make this one, so I don't really know how to tune it if you have something else about these questions, but this is the main Weakaura that I use for my mage. And then we're already at the last section of this guide. So this section is all about rotation as a fire mage for single target, but also for AoE Mythic Plus. First, I'll be showing my single target rotation, and after that, it's the AoE rotation. I'll be over it quite quickly because the opening of a fire mage can be quite chaotic, right? Like you want to have ideal everything going, like all of your fire blasts and phoenix flames gone after your combustion ended. So if you have any struggles with it, you can also slow down the video and just rewatch it slowly and see how I do it if you are not sure how it's going. But first, what I always do, well, let's get the flower out of the way. I always cast Pyroblast as my opening. Why? Because it always crits as well, because I'm going to instantly use my combustion into a Fire Blast to get another Pyroblast off, and then with that Pyroblast, I'm going to get another Fire Blast to get both of the stacks for my Soulbinds going from Infernal Cascade, get another Pyroblast, then a Phoenix Flame, get another Pyroblast, then I'm making sure that I still have one charge of Fire Blast left in order to reset my stacks of Infernal Cascade to 2 again, in order to have maximum uptime of that during my combustion. After that, we're just chilling until we get combustion back again, because that's all our damage is coming from. So I'll be quickly going over it now on the single target rotation. So I open up as Pyroblast. Waiting. Last second, I'm pressing combustion. Fire Blast, having 2 charges now. Phoenix Flame into another Pyroblast. Fire Blast to reset my stacks. Into Pyroblast, Phoenix Flames, and reset again in order to keep going. And this is basically your opener that you want to do. After that, you want to use your shifting powers to regain your charges again. Now then you want to keep using those hot streaks. You never really want to have a Fire Blast on cooldown, because Fire Blast also reduces the cooldown of your combustion because of the talent that we took, Kindling, right? And as you can see, we're already at 40 seconds left, so we kind of need to keep in mind soon, okay? We cannot use any Fire Blasts anymore in order to proc as many combustions as many Pyroblast procs as we can. So we're waiting. This is the last charge that I'm going to use because we have 10 seconds left on combustion. And as you can see, I never used any Phoenix Flames because on single target you don't need to use those in order to spread Ignite. Now I'm waiting to get the last charge. And then we're going to get it back again. Then we're proccing it and we go again. Always trying to make sure we have the highest uptime on the 2 stacks of Infernal Cascade, because it increases your Pyroblast damage by 25%, which is amazing how much that is. As you can see, afterwards, we're going back in Rune of Power, shifting power again, and just use a Fire Blast, because otherwise I'm just going to cap, and that's a waste. And as you can see, we just combusted, and there's already a minute gone, right? Like, it's ridiculous. We just combusted, and there's already a minute. But basically, this is how I use my rotation as a Fire Mage. To see... Yeah, this is my rotation, basically, on how I play Fire Mage for single target. So, I just showed you guys my single target rotation on what I use for, single target pulls, basically. But what about Mythic Plus and AoE packs? Well, what I usually do is I use a Fireball into a Combustion, into a Fire Blast to get an instant hot streak. Then I use that on a Flame Strike. Together with another Flame Strike and a Phoenix Blast, I'm going to have the highest stacks on Infernal Cascade in order to have the highest damage on my combustion, into using Phoenix Flames again, into using another Fire Blast to get another hot streak, and you just keep on rolling. Very important note as well, I'm not going to be able to show it on these dummies, but the moment a minion falls below 30%, you want to use Scorch instead of just hard casting Flame Strikes, because the fact Scorch is just always going to crit, and you're going to be able to cast 2 Scorches in the time that you were supposed to cast 1 Flame Strike. But it has the same result, but with a little bit more damage of Scorch. So I'll be quickly showing my opener. Again, it might be going quite fast, so you can always just rewatch and go back in time a little bit to see how it's going to go. So As always, don't forget the intellect buff, of course. Don't forget to pick flame patch as well, very important. To cast fireball into combustion, into your trinket, into pyroblast, flame strike I mean, sorry. And you always need to make sure that this is always going to be up as well, because that is going to make sure that you're going to have a really high uptime on your additional damage. After that you use Rune of Power again, together with shifting powers, but now we have no charge anymore. And then we're just going to be boring flame strike casting basically, because this is more damage than hoping for 2 random crits of fireball. As you can see, we have 2 charges again. We just fire blast to get the charge again. Oh, we got lucky with Phoenix Flames, then we use another fire blast, and we just keep on using flame strikes. Just keep on using flame strikes until you have your combustion back. This might take a while, and since we know we have combustion back in 30 seconds, we have to hold on to our Phoenix Flames, because we want to use those again during our opening with our combustion. So we have our Fire Blast back, never let it cap again. So you just kind of use Fire Blast in order to just get instant hot streaks, since Flame Strike itself can't generate any hot streaks. So as you can see, our combustion is almost up again. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to use a Fire Blast because of the fact that I'm not going to have it back again. It's almost up. So we're casting Fireball into Combustion, Trinket, Fire Blast, into Phoenix Flames, Fire Blast to get all these hot streaks going, into another Fire Blast to get maximum uptime, another Fire Blast to keep it going. Then we're again Rune of Power into Shifting Power. That is basically what you're doing on AoE. You're just, most of the time, just hard casting Flame Strike. Whenever you have 2 Fire Blast, you want to use 2 Fire Blast in order to gain a hot streak again for your Flame Strike. The moment a target falls below 30%, you just want to keep casting Scorch, because 2 Scorch will be a hot streak as well, which is a shorter cast time than if you were going to cast Flame Strike itself. So that is basically the rotation that you want to use for Mythic Plus or AoE situations. Alright, that was it already for this guide on the Fire Mage. I hope it was helpful and someone learned something out of it, because that's what I'm making this for. But if you still have any questions or you're unsure about something, feel free to comment them down below in the comment section. I'll try to go over all the questions that are in there, so I can help you guys out as well, right? That's why I'm here for, and that's what I like to do. But yeah, if you liked it and you learned something out of it, please leave a like and subscribe. It will really help me out a lot. I'm also live streaming a lot on twitch.tv/ItzzDivinity, where I'm streaming my Mythic Plus, I'm streaming my raiding as well. So if you ever just want to hang out and chill, feel free to join. Like, it's I like it. It's fun, yeah. Anyway, that was it for this video. Thank you all for watching and have a good day. Bye bye.